4133, 4133, you seeing this? Captain, what are you talking about? It appears to be a blackout. Everything is all black.
It's a blackout in South Philadelphia. The Birds debuting their all-black uniforms tonight as they welcome Aaron Rodgers and the 4-7 Green Bay Packers to Lincoln Financial Field. The Eagles have been a bit humbled the past 2 weeks, handed their first loss in Week 10, and then forced to fight tooth and nail on the road in Indianapolis to squeeze out a win. It was all good vibes around the NovaCare complex this week. However, looking ahead yet again, another game under those prime time lights. Welcome to the Kickoff Show, presented by Little Caesars. I'm Ella DiGiovanni, joined by Fran Duffy. These uniforms are pretty sick, Fran.
These uniforms are awesome. First time ever in the black helmets. I am really excited to see what this team looks like here in the all-black against the Green Bay Packers.
We know when it comes to style on this football team, Jalen Hurts has got it. Let's hear what QB1 had to say about the new threads.
Yeah, we come out in all black. It'll be fun. I know it's always new, always nice to try something new, and especially when you look good. But we're all excited.
It's funny. We know that Jalen Hurts, we've been praising his fits, his preseason outfits every single week here on the show. And this week, no different, as we saw what he rolled up in to Lincoln Financial Field here tonight, Ella.
He's always got the drip. I think we have a picture of him entering Lincoln Financial Field. He was going with the blackout theme as well.
And I love the synergy here because it's very like Matrix Revolution, not just Jalen, but look at you. Both of you guys are very much on the same page.
Me and
Huge credit
Jalen
to you.
chatted this week. I had to leave my chain at home, but
That is outstanding. As soon as I saw that tweet, I said, we got to get this into the show.
All right, enough about me and outfits, right? Let's talk some football. Last week, the Eagles offense was held to under 20 points for the first time since Week 12 of 2021. We've seen them put up a ton of points in the beginning of the season, specifically in that second quarter through the first half of the season, really. So we know tonight they're going to want to flip the script on really kind of upping the ante on productivity and getting in the end zone.
Yeah, and look, last week, tough, hard-fought win, well-deserved, and I think at the end of the day, that's what you're most worried about. You go on the road in the NFL, you come away with a W, that's important. But the offense, the last couple of weeks, we've seen those self-inflicted wounds, the turnovers, the penalties, the mistakes, those have shown up. But to me, the big story coming out of this game for me is the game-winning touchdown. Jalen Hurts on the QB draw, running into the end zone, puts the Eagles ahead for good. And the analysis about that play was so multifaceted throughout the week, Ella. No matter which network you turned on, which analysts you listened to, who you followed on Twitter, was it a pass-run option? Was it a run-pass option? Was DeVonta Smith an option? Was Jack Stoll an option? Was it just a draw the entire time? Was it just going to be a designed run for Jalen Hurts from the jump? That ambiguity, yeah, that's not just here in the Twitter space and in the media space here covering this football team. That is happening in locker rooms and in game plan rooms across the NFL, trying to figure out what is the objective here for this Eagles offense anytime they drop back. If you are a defender, if you're a linebacker, yeah, you might think that this is a design QB draw for Jalen Hurts, but you have to respect Jack Stoll running down the seam. You have to respect DeVonta Smith or A.J. Brown. All of those plays, it really kind of sums up the ambiguity that this offense creates, and that plays right into their hands.
Interesting night for Jalen Hurts looking back. He made his NFL debut against the Packers in 2020 when he replaced Carson Wentz. So this matchup is a bit nostalgic for QB1 and not surprising at all. He just didn't want to go there when he was asked questions about that this week. But We'll go there. When you look back and you think about Jalen Hurts in 2020 taking the field in place of Carson Wentz, and you see the quarterback now who has led this Eagles offense to new heights, really, and they've become one of the best offenses in the NFL. It starts with Jalen Hurts and his development.
Yeah, and not only has the team made huge strides, he has made huge strides as a passer. We just talked about the QB draw, that the winning play for a touchdown. That's what he did with his legs. He had that 23-yard scramble in the fourth quarter last week. That was a huge play with his legs. But I also think back on the 29-yard completion he made with A.J. Brown. Off play action, he stepped up, and it was a firm touch throw over the linebacker, under the safety, in stride, create yards after catch. I think of the anticipation throw to DeVonta Smith outside the numbers that went for 20-plus yards. I think of the touchdown pass, the decisive throw to Quez Watkins in the high red zone to get the Eagles into the end zone. I think of him stepping up on 2nd and a mile and hitting DeVonta Smith on the crosser, showing great pocket movement and pocket management. So you see those big plays from Jalen Hurts, and you still walk away saying, yeah, like the offense didn't operate on all cylinders. It wasn't the greatest offensive performance. That speaks to the standard that he has created and that he has risen over the course of his career, just these last 2 seasons since that debut against the Packers.
We talk about how much he's developed in the passing game, but with his legs, he still leads all quarterbacks in the NFL with 8 rushing touchdowns. Across the NFL, it seems like there's been a return of the run game a little bit, Fran. The league is averaging just short of 5 yards per carry, which is the highest in a single season in NFL history. Well, tonight, there's a significant mismatch when you consider the Eagles' top 10 run offense versus the Packers' bottom of the league run defense. You think the Eagles are going to capitalize on that, Fran?
I think they're definitely going to try to. I think when you look at this offense and their ability to create chunk plays on the ground, the opportunity will be there against Green Bay, who are bottom 3rd in the NFL in basically every metric stopping the run. If you look at it from an efficiency standpoint, from a volume standpoint, any way you chop it up, you can get yards on the ground against the Green Bay Packers, especially on the edge. So I would keep an eye out for some Miles Sanders perimeter runs here in this football game.
Now, it'll be the second week without tight end Dallas Goedert. Still many questions remain as to how they can fill his shoes. Do you think we're going to see more and more tonight of this offense trying to understand everybody's role without Dallas Goedert? Because he is a huge part of the playbook.
Yeah, what did we say last week is that it was going to be a group effort. It was not going to be a one-for-one replacement for Dallas Goedert. And what did we say a week ago? Well, look on the right, and you could see the contributions from Zach Pascal, Jack Stoll, and Quez Watkins. And that column on the left, those are Dallas Goedert's average numbers on a weekly basis here in this Eagles offense, and you'll see very, very similar kind of output. Now, you're going to miss Dallas Goedert, and anytime you miss an elite player, there's going to be a feeling out period. It wasn't all perfect last week for this Eagles offense, as we mentioned, but at the end of the day, they're going to try and find that production any way they can do it. Those 3 will have a big part in it, but obviously we'll start with A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith.
Well, this week I asked A.J. Brown at his locker how the offense will continue to evolve with the absence of Dallas Goedert. Here's what he had to say.
I just think everybody's just doing their job. Dallas is a good tight end. It's going to be hard to replace. His athleticism, but just everybody just executing on all levels. And I think we'll keep him.
Now, the Packers secondary isn't stuffing the stat sheets this season, so it'll be interesting to see how they deploy the guys in that unit against DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown tonight, because they're still a dangerous group, Fran.
They absolutely are. And I think when you look at Jair Alexander, one of the better players on this Green Bay defense, he's got the ability to tilt a game in their favor on any drop back. And I know he's given up some big plays, but he will also create some big plays for that defense. I've consistently seen him this year bait quarterbacks into bad throws, force them into bad decisions, and then making them pay. So Jalen Hurts, he's got to be aware of where number 23, Jair Alexander, is at all times, but then also the wide receivers running against Jair, you want to make sure your route discipline is on point. Don't let him make up any ground in pursuit because you had some wasted steps at the top of the break point. You've got to be on your A game against Jair Alexander and this Green Bay secondary.
As we bring in the Eagles offensive starters, let's go to Lane Johnson. He's the only NFL tackle who hasn't allowed a sack or quarterback hit this season. That's just a wild stat, Fran.
Unbelievable. And you and I, we would say this on like a daily basis when we were out watching the team during training camp, is that you almost get lulled to sleep by how great Lane Johnson is. You can't let that happen. I know because of the position he plays, that can be easy to do, but this is a player that is at the top of the rankings at his position. There aren't many tackles in the last 5, 6, 7 years that have a better resume than what Lane Johnson has done. He's one of the best there is, and there's not really much else to say after that.
We're talking talking so much about the run game, you can kind of see on the screen how this rain is coming down in Philly. So it's going to be interesting if they have to resort to keeping things on the ground, how they can keep the football safe as well. They've been very prone to giving the football away the past few weeks, which was uncharacteristic of them in the beginning of the season. So we know that's a huge coaching point the Eagles have focused on this week. But when you see it getting a little wet and soggy out there, there's going to be an extra emphasis on protecting the football.
And not just the wind, or not just the rain, but the wind as well. And I know the high gusts down there are certainly going to be a factor here in this game, not just on offense, but on the kicking game as well. And so protecting the football, yeah, that's going to be a major objective for both of these teams in this game.
As we're looking at Jason Kelsey here getting warmed up, I want to go back to Lane Johnson just one more time. It was a big week for him because not only is he performing as the best right tackle in the NFL this season, he was also nominated for the Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award, which honors a player who demonstrates the qualities of on-field sportsmanship, including fair play, respect for the game and opponents, and integrity in competition. Jalen Hurts reflected on what Lane Johnson means to this team.
Lane is a very special individual, and I say that from the standpoint of his work ethic. You find Lane, you see Lane, he's always doing something to get better and doesn't always get the credit he deserves, in my opinion. The best tackle in the league. He's so consistent in what he does. He is a technician. He's a freak athlete. You know, we look at the numbers sometimes, and I don't believe it. We look at the numbers of, like, who ran the fastest in practice, and he hit, like, 20.64. Like last week. Like that's unheard of, you know what I'm saying? So he's doing a hell of a job for us. I'm happy for him and the way he's playing, and also happy to be a friend of his.
All I have to say is Packers defensive line, good luck. Now, the offensive line has performed so well because, of course, they are coached by the greatest offensive line coach in the NFL, and that is Jeff Stoutland. Now, if you missed it a few weeks ago, Jordan Mailata on one of the national broadcasts said he was brought up through Stoutland University. You know, a lot of the players can say they went to various universities where they played football. Well, for Mailata, he went to Stoutland University. And so, of course, everyone had to catch on. Jeff Stoutland's daughter designed this T-shirt that says Stoutland University. They're now selling the T-shirts through the Eagles Autism Foundation. All the proceeds to the T-shirt sales will go to the Eagles Offensive Line's Eagles Autism Challenge team. So you can go to all the EAF sites. There'll be a link in the bio. You can click on it and get your T-shirt. Stoutland's ready to go for the Blackout here tonight.
I will say this, 3 words. Take my money all day. I have 3 of the shirts already in my closet. I may have one tonight underneath this suit. May or may not have one. That T-shirt, just outstanding.
I love it. I was kind of laughing when he tweeted that photo out because I was picturing his wife kind of going in the backyard and taking that photo so he could send it out to all his fans on Twitter. Well, let's go to the defense, shall we? This Eagles defense as a whole was pivotal in last week's win against the Colts. I expect the same type of performance from them here tonight. They're going to need it. Anytime you're playing a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, I know his numbers don't say it like they have in the past in some of his MVP seasons, but he's still Aaron Rodgers, Fran.
Yeah, I think you're going up against a veteran quarterback tonight, and what they did last week against a veteran quarterback in Matt Ryan was really what stood out to me on film, especially on third down. We talked about how great they were on the most important down in the game. They kept them off the board from converting a third down from the first drive all the way up midway through the fourth quarter, and they did it by forcing Matt Ryan to hold on to the football. Ryan wanted to get the ball out of his hands in like 2 seconds flat. It was really, really fast, but the Eagles constantly changed the picture. They were dropping defensive ends. They were double-teaming wide receivers. They were playing different coverages to really mess with Ryan's head and really say, am I going to see what I'm expecting to see pre-snap? No, the picture has changed. Now I've got to hold on to the football, take a sack, get to my second, third, fourth read in the progression. Time and time again, this Eagles defense was able to win on third down. They're going to need a repeat effort here tonight.
Now, in Week 10 against the Cowboys, Packers running back Aaron Jones rushed for 207 yards. Now, he was held to just 56 the week after against Tennessee. He's already eclipsed a 1,000-yard season, so he's going to be a big challenge for this defensive line here tonight. But where do you see them having to kind of best deploy their options to stopping the run, Fran?
It's going to take a full team effort, and that's what we saw a week ago against the Colts and Jonathan Taylor. Taylor ran for 49 yards on that opening drive. He didn't run for 49 yards the rest of the game, and so you saw saw what that entire front did to lock things down. Yeah, and Ndamukong Suh, the guy you saw right there in the middle of your screen, he had a big part, a big hand in that. But you throw in Linval Joseph. Credit to both of those players for getting ready on a short week to get ready to make an impact for this Eagles defensive front. But honestly, Ella, I could have said after the game, Fletcher Cox gets the game ball. Javon Hargrave, game ball. Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick, TJ Edwards, Kaiser White, all of those guys up front were outstanding against the Colts. And you will need a full team effort to stop Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in this game.
Fletcher Cox is fired up right now. He also is on the top 5 leaders in all-time sacks by an Eagle, joined by Brandon Graham, who sits right above him with 63 sacks in his career. At number 2, Trent Cole, who will also actually be honored here tonight at Lincoln Financial Field as he joins the Eagles Hall of Fame at halftime. But this defense, I mean, last week they are a huge reason why the Eagles found success against the Colts, why the offense was able to stay in it, and guys like Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh made immediate impacts against the Colts. Suh talked to reporters this week about his and Joseph's mindset.
I pride myself on always being able to add value. Same thing with Linval. We both have been talking pretty much since we both got together, and we just wanted to go out there and be able to create havoc and be able to add value. So that's the most important at the end of the day, is adding value and being able to not have any drop off and more so an increase in play.
All right, Fran, this is an interesting matchup to consider. In weeks 10 and 11, all of Aaron Rodgers' passing touchdowns have been of 10-plus air yards. So while the Eagles, on the other hand, they've allowed the lowest passer rating on passes of 10-plus air yards. 12 interceptions have come up on such passes. So when you're Aaron Rodgers, are you more than aware that this is a possibility, that the Eagles are going to be so good at eliminating something that you're very good at?
Absolutely. It's going to be in the game plan sheet for him going into this one, that Darius Slay and James Bradbury have been as good as there is in the NFL at stopping these big plays throughout the course of the season. But ultimately, I think when you look at this Packers offense, those big plays down the field, Ella, they go to one of 2 players, especially over the last month, like you mentioned. Christian Watson, the rookie second-round pick, when he's lined up outside, he has got 4.2 speed at a 6'4 frame, and that is a problem for a DB. Those long strides, he can get on top of you and win down the field. Now, when you get into the slot, Allen Lazard, I actually wrote in my notes while studying the Packers last week, he might be the best slot fade weapon in the NFL. Lining him up inside and having him work on those vertical routes down the field, that is where he excels. And so watch those matchups there, not just Slay and Bradbury against Watson on the outside, but Josiah Scott working in the middle against Allen Lazard.
As you bring in these defensive starters, when you look at the Packers' offensive numbers, yes, Aaron Jones already has over 1,000 yards on the season, but the team as a whole, they've only rushed for 4 touchdowns all season long. So it seems as though, yes, they can put numbers on the ground, but when they need to get it done, they need to score touchdowns, it's getting done through the air.
Yeah, and a big part of that does have to do with some red zone turnovers, namely from Aaron Rodgers. When they get inside the 20-yard line, that's where some of those big mistakes have happened. But yeah, stopping this team, you're going to need to make sure that your run defense is sound. Even though the touchdowns haven't been there, honestly, when I look, one of my big notes from last week and a big reason why the Eagles won this football game, they did an outstanding job with the spine of their defense. D-tackle, linebacker, safety, all 3 levels right up the middle were outstanding against the Colts. You'll need that same exact thing here tonight against the Packers.
I will say Darius Slay was electric in the locker room this week. He spent over 10 minutes with the media talking at his locker room because, of course, he fielded a lot of questions over his familiarity playing Aaron Rodgers. He spent 7 seasons in the NFC North, and he said, look, there is no such thing as familiarity when you're playing Aaron Rodgers because he always brings something new and something special to the game. That's why he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but he was funny. He said he has a Mount Rushmore at his house of picked balls. One is Tom Brady and one is Drew Brees. He said all it's missing is Aaron Rodgers.
That's awesome. I love that, too, that point from Darius Slay talking about how he can beat you in so many different ways. And that's really the versatility that comes with Aaron Rodgers. He can make plays within structure. He can make plays outside of structure. He can beat you over the top, like we mentioned, but he also will be more than willing to carve you up underneath with the quick game, the screen game, the RPO game. They do so many different things offensively to beat you. And Aaron Rodgers, with his arm talent, I know that this season has not been perfect for him. And he is, he is certainly to blame for some of the things that have gone wrong there offensively so far this year. But every single game, he makes 4 or 5 throws that like 2 or 3 humans on the planet can make. So you have to be ready for that if you're this Eagles defense.
Now, TJ Edwards ranks 5th in the NFL with 96 tackles, which are the most by an Eagles player through 10 games since 2000. TJ Edwards, of course, had a coming out party last season, and he did so well with the Eagles that they invested in his future and they extended his contract to stay in Philadelphia just a few more years. But the way he's playing this year, not only is he good on the Eagles team, he is good in the NFL, one of the best linebackers right now across the league. Did you expect him to just be this good, Fran?
Well, it's tough to say I felt like this confident about it because he did go undrafted. But Ella, on the Journey to the Draft podcast, we're talking about these players in college on a weekly basis. I loved TJ Edwards in college for all the same reasons that we are seeing him excel in this Eagles defense. He's instinctive, he's tough, he plays through contact, he's a great tackler, he's much better in coverage than people give him credit for. He just does so many things well. We had Nick Rallis, the Eagles linebackers coach, this week on Eagles Game Plan doing a film breakdown on both TJ and Kaiser White, and all the different things you see from TJ showed up in that breakdown. If you haven't watched it, you can go watch it before kickoff after the show ends. But TJ, he is one of my favorite players on this Eagles defense.
The Eagles linebacking group as a whole has improved dramatically over the past season, of course, with the additions of Kaiser White and Hassan Reddick. Their high production rate, does that take any pressure off of a defensive line and a secondary when the intermediate level of the football field is locked down? Well,
I think when you play a zone-heavy scheme like the Eagles do, everything is interconnected. So when you have a linebacker like TJ Edwards, he is going to work with the slot corners, with the safeties, with the defensive line. Everybody has to make each other right. Everybody does their job. That makes sure that, although also ensures that the guy next to you and the guy behind you does their job as well. And so, TJ Edwards, right in the middle of this defense, he's got a hand in everything that's going on, both run game and pass game.
And all eyes will be on them tonight, of course, to stop Aaron Jones and then to stop the threat of Christian Watson, the rookie who's really come onto the scene the past 2 weeks. The whole beginning of the season, 0 touchdowns. The past 2 games, 5 touchdowns for the rookie, Fran.
Yeah, the very first play of the Packers season was a deep shot play to Christian Watson. They designed it up perfectly. He was wide open over the top, and it was a perfectly placed ball from Aaron Rodgers, and it went right through his hands. He had drop issues at North Dakota State. That carried through to early stages of this year, and he still does have a couple drops. I'm sure he will probably have a drop here or two in this game, but he's got that big play potential as well, and that's something that has really come to the forefront for this offense these last couple of weeks.
I thought it was very interesting, too, going back to what Darius Slay was saying at his locker this week, is that Aaron Rodgers has always had a veteran wide receiver, and he's always had an opportunity to make these wide receivers even better. It's kind of gone back and forth. He's become a better quarterback because of the talent he's had, and they've become better receivers because of his play. Sure. They lost DeVonta Adams in the offseason, and your team doesn't just get better overnight by losing a guy like DeVonta Adams. So this is a big opportunity for the Eagles to capitalize on a Packers offense that is still trying to figure out who they really are with young weapons, something that Aaron Rodgers is just not used to.
Yeah, the change in continuity definitely impacts a pass game. And so when you look at not just losing DeVonta Adams, but they lost Marquez Valdez-Scantling, they lost their offensive coordinator, their quarterbacks coach, the offensive line coach, the running back coach, the tight end coach. Everybody left that coaching staff. And so there was just a lot to be able to work through for this Packers offense. And so it's not a shock that they are having issues, but like I said, at any given point, they can turn around. And with that quarterback, you have to be concerned. I'm sure the defense did not sleep great over the course of this week preparing for number 12.
All right, friend, we've been kind of getting in the weeds, breaking down every matchup, every unit across the board on both sides of the football. But when you step back, what are your 3 things to watch tonight?
Well, to me, number one, it starts with stopping Aaron Jones. I think the best version of this Packers offense funnels through Aaron Jones and this run game. He can also beat you in the pass game. What they love to do, Ella, get him working the perimeter, soften you up, and then hit you up inside with the inside run. He's also a great receiver out of the backfield. I think Aaron Jones, one of the more underrated players in the NFL. So he is the Aaron that you have to stop here for this offense in order to win this football game. Number 2, this is what you would call an eyes on your luggage game for the Eagles defense. And what I mean by that is the Packers love to use pre-snap motion, shifts, different formations, moving guys around pre-snap to try and distract you if you are a linebacker or a safety or a nickel corner. So if you are a second-level defender, you need to keep your eyes on your luggage. You need to do your job on every single play call to make sure that you don't get gashed for a big play in the run game or the pass game. And that motion, that shows up in both phases of this Packers offense. So I would say keep your eyes on your luggage there. Defensively, we talked a lot about TJ Edwards. That's something that he typically excels at. So that would be number 2. And then number 3, three, going over to the offensive side of the football, protect the ball. Don't allow Green Bay to stay in this football game. They've got players like Jair Alexander and Kenny Clark that can take the football away. Don't let them stay in the game because you give them the ball back. Make sure you protect the ball. You can say that in any game, but especially in this one, you don't want to give Aaron Rodgers any extra possessions. Hold on to the football. That's point number 3.
Well, with that, we're going to head to the Blackout over at Lincoln Financial Field, where Eagles insider Dave Spadaro joins us. Dave, the last 2 weeks haven't showcased the prolific performances we've been accustomed to from the 2022 Eagles. What has the coaching staff been saying about this?
You know, offensively, Ella, the Eagles the last 2 weeks have trailed at halftime. And the coaching point, the conversation, the teaching points all week have not been about changing the personnel or revamping the approach. It's about minimizing mistakes. And the Eagles feel that what has happened these last couple of weeks offensively, too many penalties. The Eagles last week had 4 in the first quarter, 3 on consecutive plays, 5 in the first half. They turned the ball over twice in the second half. The last 2 weeks, the Eagles have had 14 penalties. They've had 6 giveaways, and you're just not going to win football games like that. So this is an offense that's still adjusting, trying to find itself without Dallas Goedert in the lineup. We saw more to the backs a little bit last week. I expect a lot to A.J. Brown and perhaps especially DeVonta Smith tonight. But more than anything, Ella, the lesson from the coaching staff to the players has been, let's minimize these mistakes. We are killing ourselves on early game drives. It is so important for this team to get a lead at halftime.
I have been saying this throughout the show that Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. How's he going to test the defense tonight?
Well, he's Aaron Rodgers with an avulsion fracture in the thumb, Ella. Don't forget that. So there are some mitigating circumstances here. A quarterback who's not been at the top of his game, 7 interceptions. Still, the Eagles very wary of what the Packers do offensively. Good running attack with Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. They understand that Christian Watson is a terrific young receiver with 5 touchdown catches the last 2 weeks. Watch out for the matchup if Cobb goes against Josiah Scott. I would imagine that will be an area that the Packers look to exploit. But this defense has been so solid, and they really feel that the addition of Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh and what they did last week in the run game, looking for more from them tonight, because both told me late in the week that they feel fresh, they feel great, playing only 26 and 17 snaps respectively. The Eagles feel they match up really well, but again, you must get to Aaron Rodgers quickly, that quick release. Don't let him get comfortable back there. There's all kinds of respect from the Eagles secondary to Aaron Rodgers.
Dave, I just have to say real quick, the black uniforms are cool, but the Eagles entertainment crew, can I get a second? Looking sharp.
I mean, really,
the black
right,
tie.
thank you. It's a black on black. It's a blackout night and a Hall of Fame night, Ella. So it's a really special atmosphere here at Lincoln Financial Field. It's going to be a great night in prime time once again for your Philadelphia Eagles.
Love it. That was your Eagles insider, Dave Spadaro, and he will also join us live in the post-game show immediately following the game. Well, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, we asked the players this week which teammate they are most thankful for. Here's our social spotlight presented by Pontley Hockey.
I'm thankful for all these brothers because we 9-1. You don't have an opportunity like this. Everybody cool.
Miles Sanders.
He's God. You. I'm thankful for you.
My O-line for sure. This boy right here. You know what I'm saying?
O-line and my brother, man.
Yeah, man. I'm thankful for Marcus Epps.
Everybody, they are my bestest friends.
My guy right here. Howie, shout out to you giving up your first class seat, man. We really appreciate that. You know what I'm saying?
Really appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying? We're looking forward to more times when you giving up your seat.
The entire offensive line. And Jalen Hurts.
The Kickoff Show is delivered by Little Caesars, proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Order online during the Pizza pregame and get it delivered or pick up in store in the Pizza Portal. Pizza. All right, Fran, what's your Rico extra point?
Well, we talked a lot about Aaron Jones in this Packers run game, and one formation that has really stood out to me over these last few weeks, especially when they get Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon on the field at the same time. You call it a two-back set or pony personnel. Let's take a look at their favorite formation from this personnel grouping, where you've got Aaron Rodgers in the shotgun, and then you've got Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in the backfield, a split gun set with one to his left and one to his right, and they do so many different things out of this personnel grouping. I think we're going to see it early in this football game. Now, a lot of it's going to start with outside runs. I mentioned they like to get Aaron Jones out in the perimeter. They'll use A.J. Dillon as that lead blocker, almost like a fullback on those plays. You'll see that. But you'll also see the RPOs. The Packers run more RPOs than the Eagles. They are the only team in the NFL that runs more RPOs than the Eagles. They'll run that out of these sets. They are top 3 in the screen game. They love these screens out of the set. Get one guy going right, the other going left. Get the Eagles going one way. Again, keep your eyes on your luggage. And again, the triple option run as well, where you've got one guy going inside, typically A.J. Dillon, and you've got Aaron Jones going to the perimeter. The Packers were able to get a number of explosive plays out of that look this past week against Dallas 2 weeks ago, and also last week against Tennessee. So if you're the Eagles, you got to be ready for these sets, these split back sets with both A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones on the field at the same time. Not just on those 4 plays, but also you've got the regular drop back pass game. You've got Aaron Jones as a receiver down the field. All different things they can do from that set. Keep an eye on it early in this football game.
Dave Spadaro said it. It's a special night at Lincoln Financial Field. Eagles legends Trent Cole and Hugh Douglas will be going into the Eagles Hall of Fame at halftime. Fans can tune into the live stream of the induction ceremony right here on PhiladelphiaEagles.com and all social platforms. What a night, Fran.
What a night. And honestly, 2 things on these 2 players. Number one, I started with the Eagles in 2011, and one of my favorite players right off the jump from a personal standpoint was 5'8", was Trent Cole. He did an outstanding job on the field. Obviously, that was the prime of his career when I got here with the Eagles organization, but also he would stop into the studio on a daily basis, not just to do some things with us on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, but check in, say hello, check out our new cameras, check out our new video equipment. He did a lot of stuff from a TV production standpoint, and he's been very, very active in that space since retiring from the game. So happy for Trent Cole. And then real quick, my original AIM Instant Messenger screen name was EagleFan53, and that's because of Hugh Douglas. So yeah, Hugh Douglas, Trent Cole, big ups in my mind.
Fran, you're showing your age. There's going to be young fans at home like, what the heck is an AIM account?
Well, look, I'm not mentioning my Zanga page or anything like that. But our Facebook viewers, they'll know what AIM is. They know what it is.
All right. Well, the fun will continue later on. Be sure to join us on the post-game show immediately following the game. It'll be a late one, Eagles fans, but we will break it down from kickoff to the final whistle. Are Rodgers and the Packers in must-win territory? Can the Birds get win number 10 in front of a fired-up home crowd? It's time for Carrie Underwood to take it from here, but thank you so much for watching, Eagles fans. Enjoy the game, and go Birds.